In this video, we're going to be talking about some of the settings which you will find when you go to this render properties. So in the render properties, you do have a engine. Like you can have like um, animations and the images which you wanted to render. So first of all, if you want to see the effect in the workspace, how it would render, and you can use this one. Basically this is gonna be telling you the light, uh, the effects of lightning, and how it's gonna look like in 3D image when you are in the render preview. And the other one is like how would it look like uh, inside the camera, and when you're gonna be rendering it, if you press the key 0 on the keypad or the numpad, um, you're gonna be able to see how it would look like uh, when rendering. Render under this render tab, you can render the image or render the animation, right? So inside the render properties, when you are in the render properties, you're gonna end up having uh, multiple rendering engines. EV and the cycles is when you are rendering it, and you need an output which needs to be taken out, and you're going to be creating an animation, and they work a little bit differently. um, like sometimes the EV is a little bit faster because of its sampling rate, and the cycles is more uh, involved, and it's gonna let you select the GPU for rendering and stuff like that. The workbench is like how you would uh, like to see the object in your workbench. So it may not affect the uh, like the output, but basically how when you are working on the workbench, you can actually work on the lighting, and you can select in the matte cap, you can select it to look different, and you can play around this one to get a lot of different effects. uh, Again, inside the EV, right, you're gonna be having sampling, uh, where you're gonna be like what should be the render and the viewport sampling. Both goes with the cycles too, right? They're gonna ask you about the sampling for rendering and for the viewport. And there are a lot of things in here you can actually play with it. Basically, just make sure when you are playing with these settings, you are inside this render preview, and you can select it first, right? And then he's gonna let you make basically enable all these properties, and you can change that. So ambient occlusion, bloom, depth of field, subsurface scattering, volumetrics, here shadowing. So you have different pixels for the cube shadow resolution, and film has like how much what should be the filter size in the pixels. And also when you are film also let you make the background transparent. So if you look here, it's gonna make only the object you will be when you will be rendering it, it's gonna make the object visible. The rest of the background is gonna become transparent. uh, Simplify. Okay, simplify has a viewport, and basically when you enable that, you can actually change the maximum subdivision for simplifying the object, and it does change that, uh, like maximum child particles. High resolution smoke. And some of the things are gonna be more visible when you select different other objects, like basically some of them are gonna show up or has gonna it's gonna have more effect when the object is a sphere uh, uh, compared to a cube. So these are the things you definitely should play around. And in the cycles you can select the CPU and GPU compute. If you have a graphics card, I don't have a graphics card, so but if you do have a graphics card, it won't be disabled like mine is GPU compute. And if you go to the preferences, you can see in the system under the CUDA, you will be able to see your graphics card in here. What else? Again, some of them are similar, some of them are different. Like when you change the rendering engine, so you definitely should be playing with this one in order to get the perfect like the rendering animation and the images. The other thing I wanted to cover is like under this one where it says output properties. This is very important. Like this is the basically whenever you're gonna be rendering the images and the videos, I mean the animation, you're gonna be setting up the resolution. And you're gonna be using the aspect ratio. You're gonna be telling where the frame should start and where should it end. By default it is starting from 1 to 250. And then start frame and end frame, what should be the step, what should be the frames per second rate, right? And most importantly, what should be the output, where like once you're gonna be done with it, where should it save the output. And also what should be the color type, file format. And it does support quite a lot of formats, like both in the images and in the movies, for like the image rendering and the animation rendering. So these were the things I wanted to cover.